The darkness between the stars was deeper than anyone had imagined. For millions of years, civilizations had moved through the void, confident in their knowledge, certain of their control over galaxies and the silence of space. But then something changed. Something arrived that no one could measure or predict. Something small in appearance yet immense in consequence. Humans. No one on Earth had announced their approach. No flags had been raised, no transmissions broadcasted. Yet in the depths of space, sensors across countless fleets began to flicker, warp, and fail. Entire systems built to anticipate movement and track distant objects suddenly lost focus. The alien fleets had never experienced this. They had never been blind, and yet now they were staring into nothing. Incapable of calculating, incapable of responding. On a distant observation deck, an alien commander's eyes widened. Data streams that should have been predictable were scrambled beyond recognition. Algorithms that had once handled the destruction of entire star systems now looped, endlessly in confusion. Every sensor on every ship was feeding them only emptiness. They could not see. They could not analyze. They could not understand. And from the shadows of that void, humans appeared. Back on Earth, humans were watching the stars with calm focus. In a secret command hub, they monitored systems older and stronger than their entire planet. But they did not rush. They did not attack. They simply existed. Their ships moved in formations that seemed almost careless. Yet each trajectory and pulse of energy was precise, designed to appear ordinary yet unstoppable. It was not power that froze the alien fleets. It was intention. The simple, deliberate presence of humans in the void had rewritten the rules of engagement, even before a single shot was fired.
And then the first signals reached the alien fleets.
They were not threats. They were not messages. They were reflections of themselves, captured and mirrored back through systems they could no longer control. Every attempt to move, to calculate, to dominate, only tightened the invisible cage that humans had spun around them. Across millions of miles, galaxies trembled, not because of weapons, but because something had appeared that could not be ignored. Something alive, calculating, intelligent, and utterly human. For the first time, the universe realized that humans were no longer a species confined to a single planet. They had arrived, and everything that had once been certain was uncertain. Even the oldest empires, the most advanced civilizations, the largest fleets in existence, all froze in a moment of disbelief. Something had come into view that changed everything. The alien fleets remained frozen, suspended in the emptiness of space. Every calculation they had ever trusted was suddenly useless. Stars that had once guided them now seemed distant and irrelevant. Their sensors, the pride of their civilizations, blinked and sputtered, reporting only anomalies that made no sense. They could not understand what humans had done, and the lack of understanding terrified them. On Earth, the human command hub was silent but tense. No one spoke loudly, no one celebrated. They knew that the fleets above were not merely confused. They were learning that the universe had changed. Each human ship emitted signals that were simple and unassuming. Yet they interacted with alien systems in ways that no one had ever anticipated. Algorithms were scrambled, weapons locked down, and communications tangled into endless loops. The humans had not attacked, yet the fleets were helpless. Inside the alien command centers, panic grew. Officers barked orders, rerouted energy, attempted to recalibrate sensors and reprogram systems. Nothing worked. It was as if the human presence itself rewrote the rules. Entire fleets drifted uncertain, as if the void had become a mirror reflecting their own confusion back at them. Every attempt to analyze the humans only produced more questions. These creatures were unpredictable, deliberate, and frighteningly intelligent. Humans, meanwhile, observed the frozen fleets without fear. They did not celebrate, they did not gloat. They were studying, learning, waiting. Every movement, every pulse of energy was calculated to maximize effect without revealing the full extent of their abilities. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before, a species whose mere arrival could unseat empires and silence fleets. And then the first subtle changes occurred. Alien ships tried to move only to find their engines misfiring, their shields fluctuating, and their systems lagging. Every action they took was anticipated, countered, and nullified by humans before they could even comprehend it. It was not brute force. It was precision, intelligence, and instinct woven into technology. The humans did not need to fire a single weapon to dominate. Their presence alone was enough to bend reality in their favor. Across the fleets, leaders whispered of legends, of warnings from forgotten histories, of civilizations that had underestimated newcomers before, but nothing prepared them for this. Humans had arrived not with a roar or an invasion, but with something far more terrifying: inevitability. Galaxies trembled not from destruction, but from the realization that they had never encountered a force like this, and perhaps never would again. For hours the alien fleets drifted in silence, suspended between fear and confusion. Every system they had trusted for millennia had betrayed them. Every calculation they had made, every prediction had failed. The humans did not attack. They did not signal. They simply moved into view, and the universe itself seemed to bend to their presence. In the human command hub, the team remained calm. They understood something the fleets could not grasp. Strength was not always measured in firepower. Intelligence, instinct, and timing could freeze empires in place without a single weapon fired. Every pulse, every trajectory, every signal emitted from their ships had been carefully designed to demonstrate that humans were no longer a species bound to a single planet. They were a force that demanded respect, that reshaped the balance of power simply by existing. Alien commanders tried again to regain control. Engines roared to life, shields flared, and sensors blinked in desperate attempts to regain order. But the humans anticipated each move. Every adjustment was countered, every maneuver mirrored, every strategy met with an invisible force that the aliens could neither see nor predict. The fleets were trapped not by force but by understanding. Humans had rewritten the rules of engagement before anyone even realized. The game had begun. The stars around the fleet seemed to shimmer strangely, reflecting the tension in the void. On Earth, humans watched as the fleets hesitated, retreated slightly, then paused again. There was no fear in the humans' eyes, only clarity. They had arrived when no one expected them, and the galaxy was taking notice. Entire civilizations had underestimated them. But the humans were proving that intelligence, courage, and instinct were weapons far deadlier than any cannon or missile. And then, without warning, the fleets disengaged. Slowly, carefully, they moved away from the solar system, still wary, still trying to make sense of what they had witnessed. They had not been destroyed. They had not been attacked. They had simply been confronted with something beyond their comprehension. Humans had arrived, and the presence alone had forced an entire armada to pause, to rethink, to acknowledge a power they could not measure. For the first time, the universe understood. Humans were unpredictable, relentless, and unstoppable in ways no one could calculate. The galaxy trembled not because of weapons or fleets, but because of a species that refused to be underestimated, a species that had arrived quietly and reshaped everything in its path. And as the fleets disappeared into the darkness, the humans remained, watching, waiting, knowing that they had claimed their place among the stars, not through destruction, but through presence, intelligence, and the inevitability of their will. The galaxy had been warned, and every star knew it. Humans had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same.